Red Bull gives you wings.
Another day, another road, and we go. A ride with a win, moving up, we know where to begin. Wicked on the wheels, get wicked on the wheels. Ride we go. Wicked on the wheels, get wicked on the wheels. Another day, another road, and we go.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
What's up, everyone? Come on in.
I got 100 ways that I could make you look. You cannot read me, I ain't no page in a book. But there's 100 ways that I could make you look.
Wow.
Make you make you look.
Wow.
Look, make you look.
Welcome back after that short commercial break. And yes, TVS Raider is our mobility partner. That Black Panther edition looks absolutely wicked, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. I still am waiting for you to do the Wakanda Forever, which I know that you would probably not do. I like the Iron Man edition as well because it looks super slick, super cool, just like that trophy in between.
Ooh, and speak of that trophy, 16 teams, the best 16 teams in the Indian region looking to get their hands on it. You've got so many well-capable names, while some of the names barely managed to qualify through the playoffs. And I'm speaking about one player, a team that no one expected to see over here in the grand finals. They have made it, and just after that one last game that we witnessed in the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, talk about just surviving by the skin of their teeth. But when the push came to shove, this team definitely survived, and they basically soared higher than a lot of those expectations. But if we are talking about the expectations, a lot are on the shoulders of the man that we on screen right now, named Destro, in the lineup of Mogo. And honestly, he needs to perform because they are the defending champions.
Mogo Esports, also known as Gladiator Esports, in the last year. And this team was the team to lift the trophy of BGMS Season 2. And as you mentioned, so much to live up to, so much on the shoulders. Will they crumble, or will they once again rise high like the Phoenix? Because they definitely can. No one expected even Mogo Esports to be in the grand finals with the form and with the performance they showcased in the league stage. But then in the playoffs, it was a complete different picture. And the same thing can be said for Entity too. In the league stage, Entity was doing so good. But then in the playoffs, we saw a big dip in the performance. But still, they have somehow made it to the grand finals.
Absolutely. For a second, they were on the verge of elimination. And honestly, a team that's never normally on that shoes is definitely this lineup. Aiku Soul. This is the exact same lineup with just one new addition that lifted up the trophy of Season 1 under the banner of Global Esports. The legacy is going to be carried by them, but the players are definitely feeling a lot of pressure. You talked about Entity, a team that had a dip in the performance. There's a team who actually performed out of their minds and honestly up to the expectations of the people, and that was Team X-Spark. The team that could not even move up in the top 15 was able to move up in the top 2 when things mattered.
I want to go back to IQ Seoul's conversation once again, and I genuinely think IQ Seoul will be one of the most surprising teams in the Grand Finals. It feels like for some reason there's still a part of their gameplay that they haven't showcased, that they're still keeping a big secret. And now when we move on to the Grand Finals, IQ Seoul, they will drop a bombshell. On the day one, it matters the most, and IQ Seoul, they need to be somewhere, at least in the top 3, to have a slot or to have a chance at the championship in the Season 3. You've got the boys of OG themselves in Season 2. After missing out on that championship slot just by one single point, they know how much they need to live up to this year.
You have no idea how much I really wanted to shout OG just because of we know the importance of that chant. The importance of that point is something that cannot be known by any other team apart from them. But the shoulders are burdened for this team and this lineup as well. Global Esports, the champions of Season 1. The lineup is different, but the legacy should continue. God's Reign as well, a team that basically always moves under the radar, but was able to qualify through the entire domination week itself in that top 4 and skip the entire journey of that playoff. Definitely a lineup I'd be looking forward to and see how they perform.
This lineup of God's Reign has been quite formidable, not just in this tournament, even in the past tournaments that I've witnessed. They have been super consistent on the board, but then how can you forget about Godlike? In the opening week, they were not able to make it to the league stages, but just because of the fans, they made it to the league stages. We saw a major shuffle in the playing 4-2, where Z-God was brought back in, and then not just Z-God was there, even Punk was in the playing 4. A big IGL change helped Godlike to secure their slot in the Grand Finals. You cannot forget about Team Tamalas too, another team that is known for their defensive gameplay, but in the league stage, they showcased a complete different pace, and that was definitely a force to be reckoned with. But now, it's time for us to step in the first game of the Grand Finals of BGMS Season 3, powered by Garnier's Men. And here we go, as the plane flat path begins all the way from Severny towards Milta. This plane flat path is heavily tilted to the right side of the map. If the teams want to move into the left side, it will be a tough stretch, but I want to see some drop collisions off the rip.
Oh, you will potentially see the first one between 8-Bit and Team Tamilas because both of them like to drop around very peer. For Global Esports, they're going to be one of the happiest team out here, but what am I seeing? Raven as well taking an early exit. That's understandable. They will move again towards the Georgia Pole area itself. But as you mentioned, you wanted to see some drop clashes. We will potentially see. Now, my question is Entity still going to go to Severny or are they going to change it? Because when Global was not there, they were dropping in Severny itself.
I mean, speak of Global Esports, I mean, they have taken an exit from the plane flat path instantly. And all the boys, they have spread themselves out quite wide. Interesting. They definitely do want to move in towards Severny, but they do not know if they're going to be targeted by Entity or not. And recently, even Entity changed their drop location towards Severny, so it makes a lot of sense why they're playing with so much caution.
An Entity, though, on the other side, they've decided to move in over towards Zarki. I really wanted to see if in case Godlike would try and drop there or not, but it does not seem to be the case. Seems like we're also seeing Carnival Gaming right now change their drop location a bit, or maybe they want to try and go in for a pit stop fight. Might be something pretty interesting though. Mogo again.
Oh my god. Talk about the pit stop collision, and you've got one right in front of your screens. God's Reign up against another formidable opponent. That's going to be Raven Esports. And this will be quite a hell of a fight. Raven Esports' aim god is taken down way too low. Unfortunately, the man does not really have a lot of HP anymore, but he can still try and fight back better. Gets his hands on the AKM2, while his teammates got his hands on the double-barrel shotgun. This will be a tough fight to convert for Raven Esports, considering they're definitely lacking on the weaponry. They do have a bit of that, though. And still, they can't fight back with just that bit of a firepower. Phantom in the back lines is definitely going to try to create that off angle on top of the hill, making sure that the players of Raven Esports, they don't move out in the open and try and surround his own teammates. Phantom will try to play from the opposite end, and that's what he's exactly doing. But Raven Esports, they've dropped in with just a 3-man squad towards this area. Hulk is separated a little bit away from the pack, and he's probably getting his hands on the vehicle and a better loot. And that's where Phantom will be surprised from the backlines.
That's what I was about to say as well when you mentioned about the Phantom and him trying to create that off angle. I was about to say almost a similar thing, but wait a second. Carnival Gaming, Mighty fires another shot, and Carnival are now down to their feet. Goblin, they will potentially lose him too, because it seems like they are trying to go for the retreat, as Neo is the only man surviving right now for them.
As expected, we're seeing these pit stop collisions. And CG, unfortunately, they've lost out on too many players in the fight. Hector's the last man standing, or the second last man standing for that squad, and he's constantly on the move. There's another man of CG in the back lines, and even he's trying to deal a bit more damage in the name of Neo. 8-Bit, they have been successfully eliminated from the game. Unfortunately for 8-Bit, the game one hasn't been their way at all.
Oh my god, this is so very bad for their side.
We saw this coming.
Again, this was so very difficult to handle it. Carnival Gaming starting on such a solid note, and on the other side, even Raven finding an opener against the members of God's Reign, and it's Hulk, as you mentioned, surprising the man himself, Phantom, creating that angle, getting a better loot for himself on the other compounds, and then moving in to support his team.
There's also one blade around the fray, and they will definitely try to third party this. They have heard a few shots. They've also heard a few conversions here and there. So they can go for the third party if they want. But for God's Reign, just pinned in that one single house is getting a little bit too isolating for them. They need to do something, move out a little bit more, spread their wings, try and get that ground control in their hands, because if they're just in one single house, the surrounding awareness is definitely going to lack. A beautiful nade coming in from the opponent. It's going to chip so much damage onto Altu, and Altu cannot do a lot now.
If only that was a knock, we would have definitely seen Raven jumping in to try and take that fight. But right now, they really do not know where the players exactly are. They spotted one. Now they know they're going upwards. But as you mentioned, One Blade as well now deciding to jump in for that third party. This could very well be a great decision for One Blade if they show just a slight bit of patience as well in this meantime.
Oh my god.
Yep.
They don't know how to exactly push on forward. Furious got his hands on the shotgun, and ApeGod is just looking to find that first entry. He actually does so as well. The entrance is now found, and if Raven Esports won, they can instantly pounce on top of the opportunity. Another man, or the last man, is standing in that one single room upstairs. And even he is still alive somehow at the skin of his teeth. One Blade did third party this entire fray, and One Blade is now here to shut down the players of Raven Esports. But Raven Esports, they put the final nail in the coffin against God's Reign. Even Reaper gets taken down. Now for Raven, it's just down Hulk. One last man against the four standing players of One Blade, and I don't think so he can stand a better chance in this fight. Anonymous overextends, gives his life away to Hulk, and now Hulk once again brings his team back in the race. There's a potential chance that Raven Esports can pull a comeback in this fight.
There is a potential chance, but this 1v2 needs to be converted right now. As the res is being given to the other player, Hulk will have to move forward. He's got to change his directions. His West not having a lot of HP out there, so not a lot of armor he can work with. And now the third player is also back up on his feet. Three different rifles we've got to deal with. Tries to pre-fire the shot over towards the door, and the player will try to wrap around from the other side, and through the window is where Kana find a perfect opening with the Honey Badger. And now Global Esports want to fourth party this entire fight. And if you look at the map feed, Aiku Soul have also joined in the action, and there's also Entity moving in the same direction.
Oh, it's the cursed compound, and it's the day one of the grand finals too. Teams want to set up a better lead in the overall standings, and that's why they're looking so desperate to grab any sort of points in the power play. And I like that too. And the best possible way you can try and secure these type of points are with a third party. Because that's also going to guarantee that you're not going to get instantly eliminated from the game if played properly. Entity, yeah, one man got way too close to Slug, and he instantly backed away. But the call-out's now being converted. And that's where Entity, they try to place themselves against the players of Global Esports, especially Slug. Slug's on the move because it realizes he's seen the entire team of Entity in the front. It's better to just back away and play with the team now.
Good decision coming in from Global Esports. Good call-outs being given, but at the same time, discipline. You know, there's quite a lot of players. He's already outside in the open, but in the meantime, Aiku Soul firing a few shots. Some has been taken down, so Arcelin tries to trade, but will be taken down by Manya. That's the IGL versus IGL battle, and now Global Esports are on the back foot in this fight.
Oh, that's a big blow. IGL taken down. That's rough. Aiku Soul with the advantage, and not just a small advantage, it's a major advantage in the fight. Manya's getting sprayed down. Beast was able to find a few shots connected, but not more than that. Arslan gets confirmed by Salme. Aiku Sol with the advantage in the fight already. And nicely done. Even Beast gets dropped down. Manya, this man's an absolute beast. And look at Aiku Sol. It's a complete different pace from this team. I told you. This team was always hiding something in the back. And now it's time for them to showcase their prime gameplay. And within a flash, the entirety of global esports, they have already collapsed. Who would have thought this is going to be the start for the grand finals?
That is definitely not the start they were looking at. But again, I still remember the words that you said in the opening segment itself. You mentioned how global esports is a team that starts off slow and then picks up the pace. Now in the grand finals, I'm expecting them to slowly and steadily pick up the pace as well. Maybe just a starting fumble. But Aiku Sol on the other side though, they've managed to bring in such a great beginning to themselves. But Entity right now, by the few shots out there in the open, can they get a knock is the question, and no is the answer.
Exactly right. I mean, as I mentioned, Aiku Sol, they always like to start it off slow. That's been their main classic playstyle. They do not like to show off in the league stages where it does not matter a lot. The only thing that matters in the league stage or the starting phase of the tournament is for you to qualify to the grand finals. And once you qualify in the grand finals, that's when you try to show off what you've got. And that's what the boys are doing right now. I mean, look at the way they took the fight. It was so flawless. None of their men took any sort of damage, while Manya was able to shut down 2 players single-handedly. Arslan was found in that duel, then later on he struck down another player with the shotgun, while Global Esports, the boys were just left driving.
And that was a big problem for their side. But right now, my question is, how are we going to move forward with these situations? But ladies and gentlemen, let's throw to it.
What's up everyone, welcome back. This is Master Series Season 3 Hot Seat. और मेरे साथ इस सीट पे तो नहीं, but हमारे साथ जुड़े रखने के ओनर सर जी, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वेलकम. अभी इट्स वेरी फास्ट पेस एक्शन. ये लाइनअप नया था, आपको लग रहा था फाइनल तक पहुंच जाएगा इतनी आसानी से?
हाँ, मेरे को कॉन्फिडेंस तो था कि इन लोग फाइनल तक पहुंचेंगे, एंड आई एम वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट कि इन लोग टॉप 3 प्लेसमेंट तो ले ही लेंगे, बिकॉज BGIS के बाद इनमें व्हेन दे सॉ द कंपटीशन लेवल एंड दे रियलाइज कि यार ये कंपटीशन इतना भी टफ नहीं है. So it is something like a challenge that they want to do, is that they want to increase the position every tournament. So last time third eye BGS में, this time they are aiming for the trophy, and of course making sure that we prepare for the next official tournament also.
Your team are top rated team जिन्होंने playoff skip करके सीधा grand final में आया. आज के टाइम पे कितने % चांस है कि ट्रॉफी रखने के बूट कैंप जाएगी?
Players तो बोल रहे हैं काफ़ी high chances है, but I don't want to jinx anything. I am saying it is still a 50-50%. It all depends upon the momentum and the mentality of the players. And हम लोग का pre-match भी एक अच्छा meeting भी हुआ, बात भी हुआ, and everyone's motivated. No one's scared. That is the best thing I can see in this team. Otherwise मेरे जो भी previous team थे, सबको ideas ये था कि हाँ top 4, top 8, top 9 ऐसा खेलेंगे. But with this team, it is always about the trophy.
सुपर डन, थैंक यू सो मच शांग भाई. आप मैच देखिए, बट यस अब सीधा चलते बॉयज पे कास्टिंग टेस्ट पे. इनसे
This pack of wolves is indeed a force to be reckoned with, and that was the owner of Reckoning Esports, a team that's been doing so good so far in the Season 3. And not just in this tournament, Reckoning Esports has been playing really good in the officials as well. This is a lineup that has brought up so many promises, and slowly and steadily are living up to those as well. But for now, focusing on this fight, WSB up against the players of Carpadium. Usually these guys go for a drop collision and Pochinki, but this time we did not see the battle break out instantly. Instead, it took a bit of that timing. But Team Tamalas up against the players of Aiku Sol, and Aiku Sol unfortunately losing out on the players. Now this will be a tough pill to swallow for the fans.
Just a few more seconds remaining for the power play itself as well. So Team Tamilas getting those crucial 4 points up on board, taking a couple of players out of Aiku Sol's lineup.
But here's the crazy part, though. Here's the crazy part. Even if you just get 8 points in the first game, that's still more than enough. It's a really great start for the grand finals. That's what I think.
True. I would agree. Because getting those 8 points, 10 points, that's going to be, again, back the average of you getting every single game to an average point of 10. I think so. That's actually a pretty solid start. But at the same time, I'm also looking at all the other teams that are going to get such a humongous head start in this situation. For example, One Blade. I mean, that team went in for a perfect third party into those cursed compounds and then eventually got 10 crucial points.
I mean, speaking of those 10 points, One Blade, with the way they played that entire first fight, It was quite remarkable. Knew exactly when they want to collide towards that compound. They pushed up, strike down the team that was standing against them. Later on, a few more teams came on forward to try and third-party that entire scenario that was occurring in front of them. They unfortunately failed because one blade backed off in just the nick of time. But unfortunately, Anonymous should not have been the casualty in that entire moment. He overstepped the boundaries, and that's where he messed up.
True. He's getting just a bit too confident out there. But it's absolutely fine. That's still a pretty solid start, though.
Oh, yeah.
The question is, can they convert it into a good position? Because if that is going to be the case, it would mean that they have got a perfect beginning to this grand finals. Being the team that qualified on the last day of playoffs and then having such a massive start is a big, stark statement.
Hands down. If they even get somewhere closer to that top two, that's really good. And if you are getting closer to the top two, at least get 1 or 2 more squad wipes, right? Easily.
Yes.
4 or 5 more finish points. That's going to give them 15 finish points and maybe 5 placement points or 6 placement points, depending on what position they end up. So yeah, that's a really great start if they do end up in the top 3. But that's for the other. Right now, focusing on the zone, Reckoning Esports, the Pack of Wolves in the Smack Center. While you see WSB right next to him, you've also got the Apes towards school. And speaking of the Apes, man, yeah, the lineup, it's a completely new lineup, just one single man playing with the same team once again. But this is where the entire storyline just completely flips. Now, Team Aru has been quite a good team in the official playoffs that we witnessed in the past. And if Team Aru's opponent, they perform pretty nicely against this one single man Aru, that's where Team OG's legacy will once again be questioned.
True. Even I'm looking forward to see the entire potential, but having a look at the replay where Raven, again, the stalemate was just carried forward for a bit too long, and that's when OneBlade decided to pounce onto them. And then Global Esports were in the fray, trying to find an opportunity to get a good fourth party, but were eventually hunted down by the members of iQOO Soul, who were basically there to do the same thing.
Yeah. But as I mentioned, right, the storyline being flipped for OG, a new IGL coming into play. OG is another one of those teams that has went through the major changes.
Yes.
So far, the lineup's doing decent. I won't say they're doing extraordinarily better, but they're definitely doing decent. They've always been there in the mid-pack. They have been making quite a lot of promises, and they want to make sure that this time it's just not going to be that one single point separating them from that championship slot. Instead, they want to be the one to host that trophy. But is that really going to happen? That's the question. OG so far has been struggling when it comes to getting that first spot in the overall standings in the league stage, and not just that, even in the playoffs. But you never know, in the grand finals, it might just be a complete different phase because, as I mentioned, a lot of these teams were hiding their primary playstyle.
I think so. Team Tamilas could have a good opportunity.
Hands down.
With the way how they've started things off, we normally see teams try to avoid the fight with some behemoths like Global Esports or iQOO Soul, who they tend to get a bit more aggressive. Team Tamilas is a team that try to hunt them down as well, or not just hunt down, if in case they cross path, they don't shy away from the fight. And even if Team Tamilas are the ones who might lose a couple of members, they make sure to damage the other side too. And with the way how Mr. IGL gives out the calls, he always gets his team in certain good positions in those circles. And I like the way how they entirely play. They go on for an aggressive piece for maybe like what, a couple of minutes when you have the power play, and then after that they go very passive. They keep on playing from circle to circle, get the good positionings, and also pull up some scraps from left, right, and center.
I mean, speaking of Team Tamilas, right? Especially in this tournament, they have been a little bit more aggressive compared to the past tournaments that I witnessed this team play. Now, I saw this team play last in the officials, and Team Tamilas has always been one of those teams that does not really care about the others. They try to focus on themselves. They would try to be in the smack center of the zone. They would try to play for the chicken dinner. They do not really care a lot about those elimination points because they know if they are going to go for the finishing blow in the final few zones, there will be a lot of these opponents near them, and then they can try to go for those eliminations. So that's how Team Tamilas likes to play. They don't shy away from a fight, but they do not like to give a fight to the opponents.
इस बार हॉट सीट पे हमारे साथ है शुभम चावला AKA टीम सोल आईकू सोल के कोच साहब। कैसे हैं आप?
मैं बहुत बढ़िया हूँ, बताओ कैसे हो?
आपकी टीम जहाँ उतरती है सर्कल का फेवर है, क्या टेक है आपका?
फिलहाल तो 2 कैजुअलिटीज़ आ चुकी हैं, बट पावर प्ले में हमारे पास डिसेंट पॉइंट्स आ गए हैं। एवरेज पॉइंट्स फिलहाल के लिए आ गए हैं। लेट्स सी मान्या द मैजिक आज अगर दिखाता है तो ये 2 लोग भी पूरी क्षमता रखते हैं एक बड़ा मैच कन्वर्ट करने के लिए।
यू नो मायवी यू आर अ मैजिशियन इन जोन रोटेशन एंड द टाइमिंग। अभी क्या लगता है कौन सी टीम के सबसे ज़्यादा चांसेस हैं?
ये प्रेडिक्ट करना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है, बट आई फील थोड़ा रेकनिंग के पास चांसेस ज़्यादा हैं।
ओह, इससे पहले रेकनिंग के आए थे, बट थैंक यू सो मच चावला साहब। यू नो बैक टू स्टूडियो विद द बॉयज।
Indeed, both these remaining players, Manya and his teammates, they do have a lot of potential and they can definitely go for the conversion for a better game. But once again, knowing the fact that the other teams are so hungry for elimination points with just a 2-man squad, it hasn't been possible recently.
And with the amount of teams that are remaining right now, let's be honest, it might get even more difficult for them because we still have 12 more teams remaining. It's already the stage 3 circle. We are seeing a lot of rotations happening as well right now. Mogo spotting out the members out there in the fray itself. This could be a good thing, right? Because we normally have seen Mogo play a bit too passive. But right now, since they've spotted out the players of Team Tamilas, they're taking a full-fledged western rotation and will try to enter from a bit north of Ruins where already Carpedium is sitting. So that's going to be a big chaotic part of this entire circle if in case Mogo decide to go. But for now, it seems like they've decided to just disengage. Delta is the one scouting out the area, while Mogo, they've taken out the urban areas of Pochinki.
Mogo esports, they're always known to flourish in intense environments and sweaty environments. In the grand finals, it of course is super intense and it is quite sweaty. Everyone wants to get their hands on the trophy. Day 1 holds a lot of value. If you get yourself in a really better standing in the overall standings, well then, what else can you ask for? That's the best possible start for the grand finals. You can have a good night's sleep, you can try and practice a little bit more, and try and figure out what else can you do to try and keep that spot pinned down. Because about the day 2, it's all going to be the day of comebacks.
True.
All the other teams on the latter half of the board will give it all they have to try and get there in the first half of the board. If they fail, well then the run is going to be delayed for the day 3 where it's the sprint. And if they do not make it, well then it's done.
One team that always has struggled in those crucial scenarios has been Team 8-Bit. They've also taken an early exit from the first match itself of the grand finals. I really wanted to see something new from their side. Maybe a new start. And I thought maybe they might collide with the members of Team Tamilas though, but apparently Team Tamilas decided for a different pit stop. And it was Carnival Gaming who they had to go up against. Former friends as well. And Carnival also finding a pretty decent start, a pretty good one to be specific. Lost 1 member, still wiped out the entirety of 8-Bit, got those early 8 points. And they are also in a pretty solid position apart from 1 blade to have a big game for themselves. But as much as we are moving over towards those later stages of the circle right now, as has been mentioned, Reckoning Esports, if you look at their positionings, they've got a pretty solid one indeed. It's probably sitting out in the compounds that are a bit southwest towards southwest of the school, though.
Big mistake from Sarkar. Steps into a death trap, and he instantly gets swiveled.
Ouch.
Unfortunate. Dexter was ready with the shotgun in the hand, instantly blasts the man on his face. And slow and steady has always been Mogo Esports' game. It's been their way. If the game's going to be slow and steady, Mogo Esports, as I mentioned, in intense environments, the boys definitely do flourish. True. They know exactly how to take it when it comes to that slow and steady gameplay. While some of the other teams, they do end up having those casualties. And that's what exactly happened with the opponents. 1 blade, the boy messed up, but still keep this thing in mind. 1 blade, they've got 2 more players left alive, and they can try and convert a few more points here and there, and they can try to go for the placement game too. Carpedium up against the players of Team Tamilas. Mr. IGL is barely surviving on any HP. Even now, Max OP is trying to back away from that entire spot. He does catch a few bullets upon himself, but it's completely fine as they whiz past him.
The question is, where are Team Tamilas deciding to go now? Because if they move directly up straight, you've got the members of Haiku Soul, you've got a lot of teams who will fire on you. You can't really go all the way over from north. It's basically open areas. You're going to be fired from every direction. I think so. Team Tamilas could potentially be screwed unless they find a good timing with the third party when two teams are fighting against each other and then they try to enter in that circle. Because right now, Reckoning and Orangutan have got some amazing positionings, and Carnival Gaming have occupied the southern compounds of Rozhok. It's just down of that hill. And you also have Team X-Park, who normally just again dropped in Yasnaya Polyana, have not had a lot of maneuver around because the circle was forming near them. They've taken the remaining of the Rozhok compounds out there.
Now the circle is looking forward to play an evil game. That's going to move out in the open, and the only friend is going to be the grass and a few ledges here and there. And if you're not able to play around the edges, if you're not able to play around the trenches, you're screwed. For now, Reckoning Esports up against the players of One Blade, and with just a two-man squad remaining, One Blade cannot go for a fight against Reckoning. But considering they're there inside of the zone, it's all good in the hood for now. One Blade, they can try and play for that survival game for as long as possible. They are trying to face off against Reckoning Esports and trying to delay the inevitable. And as long as the circle keeps on forming on top of them, as long as they're getting those placement points, that's all that matters. But you've still got 12 teams alive in the game, and that's now starting to be a big sign of concern. Godlike up against the players of Team X-Park, that's going to be another exciting fight as you see another fight erupting in front of us. It's Entity up against the players of OG. I think he's right there around the fray, but unfortunately Samraj, he overextends. On the opposite side of that wall, he instantly gets confirmed. Entity slowly and steadily losing out on the players. Even Toy gets knocked out. Equinox and Raiden, the last two men surviving.
There's the full squad of OG as well, trying to go in for their assaulting plays. AK out there, Wiz2. It might be possible that they could wipe out Entity without any casualties. And that's going to be big as Equinox falls on his knees too. It's all down to Raiden. And this man has only got one job: to spoil the game of Orangutan.
Bad call from Entity. A big misstep from the boys, and even the last man instantly gets confirmed. Now that's what you call a hot knife through butter. Entity did not even stand a chance in that fight because they were so desperate to get a better position inside of the zone. But the next circle shifts right on top of Reckoning Esports in One Blade. This is the best possible outcome, especially for One Blade, because they already have 10 elimination points. They're looking so good.
Absolutely, because every team on that south are going to fight against each other right now. Even Ninja has been taken out. The fight between Godlike and Team X-Park, when it erupted, it favored the members of Godlike. They were quickly able to take out a lot of players, but for now, Mr. IGL as well, down on his knees. That's a big problem. Team Tamilas, though, they've got a big foe in front of them, and that's the Wolves.
Team Tamilas, they have a really good spot, but unfortunately, it's being focused by too many teams at this point. It's exposed out in the open, and the only friend is this little trench that's there. This little dip between two edges. How can Team Tamilas play? There's so many utilities that's being poured right on top, but Reckoning Esports, they need to make sure that they're not emptying their arsenal just yet. They need to have a few more utilities for the future fights. Beautiful nade from Fox. It does find the connection, but the man backs away in the perfect time. And now Aiku's Soul up against Carpedium. This is going to be another great fight. Mane's been on top of his form. And recently, the man's been able to drop down of big names. And now Manya up close and personal against the entirety of Carpedium. This will be an interesting fight. The fight flourishes. It starts to begin. But as soon as that happens, Carpedium, they're trying to put up a lot of suppressive fire against Manya. Manya finds one soul left alive. He instantly strikes that player down too. Gets two players knocked out. The third man is quite chipped. And now Manya is getting surrounded from the back lines too. He gets pinched. And now it's time for Knuckle to step in the fight as well. Knuckle steps in, but even he gets taken down instantly. Godlike's Jonathan all by himself around that fray, as even he gets strike down because the play zone. And now it's time for the opponents to try and move up. Aiku's Soul, they definitely did get eliminated, but Godlike, they came in with a perfect third party against Carpedium.
Absolutely, finding a few important points as well. And now Punk has given out a call to quickly move inside the circle itself, as Team Tamilas are still under heavy fire by the members of Reckoning Esports. They managed to barge in, but you've got WSB right on your close right front. That's going to be pretty difficult for you to handle. There's also Carnival Gaming close to the members of One Blade. This is a Reckoning's chicken dinner game no matter what, unless they mess that up. because they've got the circle. Orangutan are the only teams that can pose a bit of a threat.
Not yet. If Team Timileas play their power position right, this can be their game. When the circle keeps on shrinking down even more, Reckoning Esports will be forced to move out in the open, leave their comfort zone. But that's for another moment. Right now, WSP faced off against Godlike, and it's quite a bad fight. WSP's taking a lot of damage upon themselves. Punk is the last man surviving, and he's constantly tossing in more utilities. Now it's time for Team Timileas to step in the action, and that's what they exactly do. With a perfect timed third party, Team Timileas can actually conquer both these teams. And that's what they're looking to do. They're doing so much damage against the foes. They also do get one of the conversion onto Armand. Punk is still left alive in the zone. And this is now starting to be a big trouble. As long as Punk is alive, there's that snake that can bite you anytime.
That to a big win of Swan. This man does not leave any openings whatsoever. But right now, Reckoning, they've got the main big power position out there. So it's going to be important how you're going to deal with it. WSB, after they've lost one member, they managed to bring the second one in. But Punk slowly and steadily moving up forward. That is a big thing. WSB, they do seem to be aware about his possibility. And I think so the footsteps were heard.
Oh no! What? This is a big mess up. Punk, he finds the first man right in front of him, instantly clips his wings. He gets the confirmation too. This is exactly what Godlike wants. 5 points converted. They've also got 1 placement point so far. And they're definitely going to keep on racking up a bit more. But a perfect place nade from Zerif is going to put that final nail in the coffin. Godlike shut down in this game. But Team Timileas, they've still got so much firepower to back up. And as I mentioned, if Team Timileas play their card right in this power position, things can be really good.
And they are doing that as well. But my focus is still going to remain on what's going to be the result of this fight. Reckoning versus OG. One knock has already been there. Gravity and AKOP's position are going to be crucial. The one who wins that fight might actually lead it and lead their team to victory.
Now listen, the main thing over here is taking a fight against WSB. And Team Timileas, they need to do it right now. They need to hand out a death blow to WSB and then go for a longer rotation all the way from the left side inside of the safe zone.
True. That's definitely going to be their plan of action. But the question is, when are they going to execute it? As Reckoning right now are busy with the members of Orangutan, and there's also Carnival Gaming just down south of them. That could be very crucial factor as well into determining the result of this one. This very well could be the fight for chicken dinner, and Reckoning have 0 points till now.
Hands down. I mean, Reckoning Esports has been struggling.
My God.
And what am I watching? AKOP, a man who showcased so many nuclear performance in the back. He chokes when it matters the most. Classic OG moment. In the grand final, something happens to the players. And AKOP, this one single mishap is going to affect his mindset every single time now. It will be a tough blow to wake up from. And now for Reckoning Esports, at least they got a chance to fight back. A beautiful nade from Hunters gets the confirmation onto both of them. And Team Timileas does exactly as I said. This has to be Team Timileas' game if they play it properly.
If they play it properly, that is now, as you mentioned it perfectly. As Dinosaurs has also received the knock from the members of OG, but oh my God, the spray comes in. Hunters almost catching the person. The circle is still on Team Timileas and Reckoning both, so OG will have to push up.
I mean, look at the way OG's playing too now. Once again, back in the race, a big mishap. What just happened? What was he thinking? Wish shot steps right in front of the opponent. As the opponent had his shotgun pulled out, he instantly gives him that death blow. Reckoning Esports with the big advantage inside of the fight, while Aru is left way too weak, and you've got Atanki as well outside of that zone. Aru gets knocked out of the play zone. Atanki now needs to go for that med strat, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's going to try to catch the players of Reckoning Esports off guard. And Reckoning Esports, they still know there's one foe lingering around in the backlines. Aru is routing the outskirts. OG, they need to go for that confirmation onto one single point.
I don't think so. Reckoning could do that because again it's out in the open. As you mentioned, Team Timileas will be firing onto that exact line, but as you mentioned about Atanki, yes, Reckoning need to go in for that confirmation too. Tries to jump in, catches one. That's crucial.
Oh my God,
he catches two.
Oh, Gravity messes up big. He whiffs all the shots, and Reckoning Esports, they lose out on the chicken dinner. Now Team Timileas with the man advantage. No one's going to stop these boys to make that bounce, and that's exactly what they're looking to do. It's time for them to make the leap on the opposite side of this compound wall, and Hunters, he fights the first engagement. He has been surrounded by the foes, and as I mentioned, this was Team Timileas' game. They played their cards right, they showcased the patience, and they came out on top.
Finding the valuable fight is always the name of the game in these last few circles, and they figured out which one that was, and that too perfectly. They needed to wipe out WSB, take control of the other part of the circle, and let Reckoning and OG duke it out against each other. Both of them are pretty solid, and neither one of them will go out unscathed. And that's exactly what happened in Team Tamilas, finally finding the perfect start to the perfect finals that they're looking forward to.
Team Tamilas, I saw this coming too. I knew the boys were in a really good spot. As soon as I saw them out in the open, yes, they were taking a lot of damage, but they still had a really good spot in the hand. Let's move on to the stage with the interview.
फाइनल्स का पहला मैच एंड एंड में ओरंगुटान along with Reckoning, Team Tamilas भी उस फाइट में थी, but it is Team Tamilas that pick up the first chicken dinner, and you guys have got your first chicken dinner. You couldn't have chosen a better time to get this in the grand finals.
அதான் டின்னர் ஃபஸ்ட்டு மேட்ச்சும் ஒரு டின்னர் எடுத்தனால ஒரு கான்ஃபிடென்ட் இருக்கும். ஸோ அதை அந்த மொமெண்டம் கேரி பண்ணணும் இதுக்கப்புறம். ஸோ அவ்வளோதான், இதுக்கப்புறம் அடிச்சு ஆடி மொமெண்டம் கேரி பண்ணணும், அவ்வளோதான்.
देखिए आपने मोर और लेस वो कीवर्ड्स हैं वो सुन लिए होंगे दैट जब कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाता है और साथ में मोमेंटम बिल्ड करना चाहते हैं तो परफॉर्मेंस पर भी बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क पड़ता है. ऑफ कोर्स इट मेक्स अ ह्यूज डिफरेंस ऑन योर परफॉर्मेंस व्हेन यू गॉट दैट कॉन्फिडेंस एंड मोमेंटम गोइंग. नाउ डू यू वांट टू से थैंक यू टू ओरंगुटान्स आतंकी फॉर व्हाट ही डिड टू रेकनिंग?
No. Thank you.
Okay. What was your approach when you took the circle?
சர்க்கிள் ஆக்சுவலி நாங்கள் எப்பயும் போல் யூஸ்வலான கேம் தான் ஆடிட்டு இருந்தோம். ஸ்டார்டிங்கில் ஏர்லி ஃபைட்டுக்கு தான் போனோம். அண்ட் தென் ஏர்லியாகவே ஒரு 2 மேன் கிடச்சோன்னே அது ஒரு ஸ்டார்டிங் ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு பூஸ்டப். அதுக்கப்புறம் சர்க்கிளை எடுத்து விளாண்டு ஒரு ஃபஸ்ட்டு டின்னருக்கு மெயின்டைன் பண்ணோம், அவ்வளோதான். ஜோன் எடுத்து ப்ரே பண்ணோம், அவ்வளோதான்.
They got down to the circle, but then they had to be a little more circumspect in their approach. But then they played zone to zone, and it is Team Tamilas that have picked up the first chicken dinner. Boys, summer performance अड़चिंगा, ये तुम्हारी वालाड़ेंगा. Congratulations. भाई आज तो 4 मैचेस हैं, उनमें से 1 खत्म हो चुका है, 3 बाकी हैं. We're taking a little break and we'll be back soon.
Battles change, but our squad does not. The result should speak for how hard we fought.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Time to test the waters. Tell me how you wanna live. Now you hear me roll like raw in my beastly mode now. Wow.
Wicked Unleashed.
That's wicked. All the cuts and the curves. So wicked. Take what you deserve. It's wicked.
TBS Raider. Unleash your wicked.
Share it.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
ये वही जगह है. क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा.
Wow. Circle to search. Only on Android.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
Team Tamalash playing their cards right and showcasing a brilliant patience. That's why they were the one to come out on top in that previous game. But then we cannot really forget some of the mishaps that happened in that compound. First, AKOP messed up with that S12K. Later on, Gravity Jod messed up with that S12K too. So yeah, it just kept on getting worse and worse.
I mean, it just seems like the S12K is now becoming a curse for all these players. But for now, the man who was a blessing for his team was definitely Mr. IGL. Talk about carrying the team with the perfect example as well. As we have a look at the stars of the match, to Maxi OP with 3 finishes as the finisher and Kana as the best companion.
I mean, Mr. IGL definitely made the right calls in the final few moments. As I mentioned, playing the cards right is something that got Team Timalas that chicken dinner. They showcased a lot of patience, and that's why they were the one to come out on top. As we move on towards the highlights, and this is where we will be able to relive the moments on the game one. The action kicked off in quite an amazing fashion. We saw a big pit stop collision towards that one single compound where even God's Reen, they were in some big troubles. But the fight kicked off between 8-Bit and CG, where 8-Bit did manage to take down just one player, but then 8-Bit, they fell short.
Absolutely. That was a big problem again for 8-Bit. Not the loveliest start that you would really hope for. But again, Aiku Soul trying to find the perfect opportunity onto the members, were able to take down Global Esports. And then Team Tamilas actually did a good blow against the members of Aiku Soul themselves. But what a play from Manya against Carpadium. I like the decision of Godlike to try and third party that entire scenario, but my entire eyes were always on that timer because it's the stage 5 circle. Blue is going to do insane amount of damage to you, and that's what happened.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. With that DBS in the hand, he messed up so big. I mean, you can clearly hear the caster's reaction as well from the Hindi desk, right? They were shouting when they saw that. I'm pretty sure they probably missed it the first time it happened, but I mean, it was definitely something that was game-changing. If he would have hit those shots, Reckoning Esports could have came out on top against Team Tamilas. But moving on forward towards the match rankings, these guys managed to get 10 placement points and a total of 11 finish points. 23 total points accumulated off the rip.
Because, again, a couple of those finishes all the way were back in that power play on the side of Aiku Soul. It seems like they've been moving so flawlessly, so effortlessly, just like the tap and pay on the Android devices, ladies and gentlemen. You can easily use that to pay for everything that you want to. Just tap and pay. That's about it. Maybe you would really need a financial manager, though, because I definitely do in my case.
I mean, moving on forward towards the schedule. Game 1's done and dusted. Now it's time to move on towards the map of Sandhawk, which will be starting in a while on 7:30 p.m. And we know 7:30 p.m. is not that far away. Now these teams do not really have enough time to go ahead and refresh their moods, especially speaking of AKOP, man. I mean, this guy needs to do something. He needs to start moving fearlessly, just like our Philips 1 played, because in the game 1, there was something that was holding this man back.
I really feel that was exactly the case as well, and specifically those missed shots definitely are going to hurt him, but he is definitely going to find a bandage as well, ladies and gentlemen, as we find one for him after this short break.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Time to test the waters. Tell me how you wanna leave. Now you hear me roll like raw in my beastly mode. Now, pow!
Wicked unleashed.
That's wicked. All the cuts and the curves. So wicked. Take what you deserve. It's wicked.
TVS Raider, unleash your wicked.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
What's up, everyone? Come on in.
I got 100 ways that I could make you look. You cannot read me, I ain't no page in a book. But there's 100 ways that I could make you look.
Wow.
Make you look. Make you look.
Wow.
Look, make you look.
Just in few moments, Sandhawk will be booting up on the screens, and we know what Sandhawk holds. It is all known for aggression. Are we going to see another aggressive start because of the plane flat path? The answer is probably going to be no, because no matter the plane flat path, teams can easily move in towards their main designated drop locations. But if you talk about an aggressive start to the map of Sandhawk in general, then that might just happen. In the past, we have seen a lot of those collisions happen in Paradise Resort, and not just there, even in towards Boot Camp. But unfortunately, to go for a drop collision towards Boot Camp, there's no team forever.
Normally we would see all of these teams try and take those clash, but right now the teams that are present in front of us, the question is which one is going to jump in that boot camp area? That's a big thing. I think so maybe WSB can try and take that spot.
And how can we forget Camp Alpha collision? IQ Soul and Global Esports towards that temple area as the second game of the day begins. The plane flat path's going to start all the way from Camp Alpha towards Dock, and this plane flat path once again is perfect. The teams are not going to have any sort of struggle to move in towards their designated drop locations. They will be moving there with ease. And off the rip, you see Global Esports and IQ Soul take an exit from that plane flat path, probably wanting to move in towards that temple area, and that's what they're doing. Global Esports, they move in towards temple, while IQ Soul, they've got no interest in going for that direct drop challenge.
Absolutely, because there's also Team X-Park who like to drop towards Hatin, and that's where they're going to. So the third party could very well come in fruition for them. They can have those better weaponries, try and move in, take them down, but I want to see what's happening over towards the Paradise Resort, because normally Team Tamilas as well, they sometimes try to drop around the area between the entire boot camp and Paradise, but right now they're a bit more up north, probably in a position to try and go for another third party on GE and IQ Soul maybe, as the circle it begins all the way over towards the western part. So all the teams that are playing in all the way towards the east will have to go in for a big rotation, and right now Aquanox is not in a comfortable position. There's full Carpedium around him.
Yeah, Siege has got a really good start. The centric part of the zone is towards Ruins, and Siege is right there. They've got so much control off the rip. Towards Temple and Camp Alpha area, you've got Global Esports and IQ Soul. Global Esports contesting towards that Temple area this time, not backing away from that drop collision, while IQ Soul coming up with some tweaks in their drop location. And these tweaks, let's see if that's going to help them in the future run, or it's going to bite them in the back. One thing is for sure, if Global Esports, they get a chance to flourish in those environments, they will bite the players of IQ Soul in the back. This will definitely happen, because Global Esports, they've got the high ground advantage. They can look on top of the players of IQ Soul. But Global Esports, they want to move in towards their own merry way. They do not want to face off against Iku Soul. Instead, they're done looting. It's time for them to loot up a little bit more and then maybe try and focus on a better spot.
True. But right now, one thing is for sure, that Mogo are not looking in a good spot. Reckoning have basically stolen half of that paradise for themselves. And I'm making sure that this becomes a hell resort for the other side. Destro, a bit too ahead, trying to scout out the area. I kind of like the idea of Hunters picking up the Piccolo skin because he's green, Namekian, and you can try and blend into the environment a bit later on. Fun maneuver coming in. Smart? I don't know.
I mean, focusing on this fight for now, though, Reckoning Esports, a team that thrives under chaos, up against Mogo Esports, a team that does not really like to go for early game clashes. But they have faced off against their opponents in Paradise Resort yet again. This fight will be interesting. Mogo Esports definitely will be looking forward to get some advantage of that power play in the hands, while Reckoning Esports here to make sure that the opponents do not really get a lot done. Speaking of the previous game, CG, they had quite a bit of points as well in the overall standings now. CG is on the second spot, One Blade on the third, and OG and Reckoning tied up on fourth and fifth respectively. But Reckoning Esports for now, they just need to find that one single isolated man that was there in the front lines, but unfortunately they missed out on the chance, I guess.
Right now, the team that have actually suffered a blow has only been Carpadium. And its entity have taken them down. And that's happening all the way towards Kampong. Eastern areas, north of Docks. And if that fight flourishes, that means Orangutan will have a good opportunity to try and go for the third party. But right now, Reckoning and Mogo, kind of in a stalemate with just a few nades being pulled off. Trying to figure out where exactly the players are.
Looking at the fight, WSP up against Global Esports, who's there on the opposite end. Global Esports is a little bit too out of their reach. So yeah, I mean, going for this fight might not be worth it, considering they will just end up giving their position away. And you never know who's going to be there in the back line, just waiting to pounce on top of the opportunity. It's pretty much like you inviting the opponents on your own home turf. Global Esports looking around the vicinity while you've got Reckoning towards Paradise Resort. Once again, they back away. They retreat from that spot. I guess do not really want to challenge the players of Mogo Esports just yet. They want to play in like a well-knit unit. But this is kind of weird, right?
True.
Reckoning Esports backing away from that collision. While they knew that there was one man in the front lines, they could have went for that blow, but they still did not.
Really hope this passive play style does not bite them in the back next time. Because even in the previous game, they had a pretty solid finish if you think about it. Finishing on the second place itself. But still, not having a lot of those finishes is basically what has resulted them in staying at that fifth position with 11 points. Still pretty decent if you ask me though. But yeah, it would be really good if they try and capture a few extra points in that power play. A minute and 20 seconds remaining for that. While a lot of those teams have already decided to move in towards the circle. A bit off center, that's about it. But pretty unconventional for Global Esports if you ask me. Because they normally would like to take control of the entire Camp Alpha. But just because there's Iku's Soul there as well. Seems like there's been a signing of the peace treaty out there.
I mean, speak of the peace treaty and CG and Global Esports, they're definitely not going to have one. There's a possible fight brewing up soon. CG right next to the boys of Global Esports, and Global Esports playing on the edge. They've got that compound secured. This fight will be quite an interesting fight, considering it will shift the tide of this game of Sandhawk into a complete and aggressive one. And this is kind of weird. We expected Sandhawk to start off in a really aggressive manner, but instead, It's starting off quite slow and steady.
I mean, it's slower than Miramar. That is what it feels like right now. Fox. There's a couple of players moving around him, and it's one blade. Team Tamil has one blade all the way towards up north.
Okay, one blade. They stop in an unknown territory and they instantly get sprayed down. Mr. Rigel, nicely done. Now it's time to push up close and personal and strike down another man. Oh my god, so much damage was done. And within a flash, Team Tamilas, they wipe out the entirety of one blade, just like that. 8 points converted. Such a great start.
Beautiful beginning for Team Tamilas though, but are those 8 points? That's the big question, because I don't think so it was in the power play. I think so they lost the window of that power play itself, and that's why we're only seeing 4 points added to the tally, but still a squad wiped out. Now, since no other team utilized the power play, that means the average is going to move down even lower in this game. Somewhere around 7 or 8 points.
Yeah. Entity did technically, if you speak about it. They managed to strike down one player of Carpathian before now. The fight once again, it elongates. Entity. Oh, what a quick turnaround that was. Equinox strikes down another player, and just like that, knows exactly when to peek that corner and strikes down the last standing man too.
Carpathian struggling now. They had a few points in the previous one, but this time, absolutely none. So that entire area now belongs to the members of Entity, who will look to take the entry into the circle itself after a while. As the blue will start to move in the next 34 seconds. Beautiful beginning coming in for Team Tamilas and Entity, though, if you ask me. For Team Tamilas, this day seems to be like their day. They can try and build a massive cushion for themselves, and they just can try to replicate it on day 2 and day 3. But replicating it is the main question, the main problem. Cluster forming around a bit of north of Painan, though. Global Esports, Godlike, Carnival Gaming is also there. And if I'm not wrong, there's also WSB, and just south of them is Raven. Hanzo a bit too close to the others. Could be pretty important if you talk about it, but Reckoning deciding to retreat from the fight of Paradise Resort is really unconventional of them.
Reckoning Esports is someone that is supposed to have the bigger advantage in this fight. But instead, they're the one to back away from that entire area first. Mogo Esports still pinned down, and they do not know what to expect in the future lines. That's why the boys are overthinking too much at this point. Shogun's the man in the safe lines, and Shogun's going to try to play it as safe as possible. The only player from Mogo Esports to make it in the safer shoes. Even Justin is tailing him right in the back. And Mogo Esports, they like to play for that longer game. They like to play for that slow game. So they need to go for a better slot inside of the zone. They need to be somewhere around that centric spot. Sanhok is a zone-centered game.
You've got quite a lot of compounds as well to work around with. But yes, you need to capitalize on that safe circle. And as of now, the position seems to be a bit too passive. Now, God's Reign playing in for their own passive playstyle. Probably going to try and tank the first 2 blues, and then we'll move into the circle once a few teams have been taken down. No idea if they'd be able to. But in the meantime, again, it comes down to how that big cluster will resolve. Right? If you talk about what happened the first game itself, Team X-Park starting off with a bad start, again, it kind of reeks of what happened to them in the survival of the domination week. But I think so we still trust this team to pull through.
Pretty much. But my eyes are still on 8-bit. All the way down south towards Camp Charlie. I'm not even sure what the boys are trying to do at this point. But Entity's going to be crossing that bridge soon. And 8-bit are ready with a complete field being set up. And it feels like Entity, they're just going to directly walk right into that spring trap. And that's what is happening. 8-bit, they will pounce on top of the opportunity. Here comes the swing. As Entity, they're still somehow not taking a lot of damage. And what am I watching? 8-bit, they fumble up in their own trap that was set up. And Entity, they out of nowhere just come out on top. they're the one to find the first advantage in the fight. And now Raiden knows exactly where the opponent's position. A nade is being set up to perfection. Raiden is catching a lot of that fire from Mighty, and even he gets taken down. Entity, they've got one man as a casualty, but once again, they're just down to the neutral grounds. It's completely fine for them. It's a 3-on-3 fight. 8-Bit, they mess up so big in that fight.
It was Max opening. It was supposed to be him fragging out the first one. Messed up on that spray. Toy pretty low, will get back up. The patch-up was there. He knows the position of Mighty. He is watching in for that side angle. He also sees another player moving up around that same area, so he knows the information of two. They need to figure out where the third player is. I like the idea as to what 8-Bit is now trying to pull, sending one man all the way to the other side to try and get a good flank angle. But if that guy gets taken down, then that's going to be a big blow to 8-Bit.
It indeed will be. I mean, 8-Bit, this was never supposed to be the outcome of this fight. This was never supposed to go this way. But Toy messes up big. The man was out in the open. Instantly, he gets strike down. Entity, the boys are trying to back away from this entire spot. Samraj, the man's left in the back lines. And Equinox is there on the opposite side. Nate's being tossed. They do not know exactly where Samraj is. Juicy is also knocked out from 8-Bit. They need to try and close on up that distance and get Juicy back up on his feet. And that's what exactly Mighty's on. Mighty's on a mission. Equinox holding that angle still. For Entity and 8-Bit, they're just burning through time at this point. Someone needs to prioritize the zone. Sanhok is a zone-centric map.
Where is Mighty going? This could either be the make play or the break play for this fight because Equinox has got a perfect angle onto him. Just going to reposition a little bit. He can try and find one person too. But the cover is just impenetrable whatsoever.
Oh no, he's not able to find that perfect angle in that perfect timing.
Finally!
But eventually he does! And with that angle, he strikes both the players down. What is 8-Bit doing? Where's the surrounding awareness? It feels like 8-Bit, they're just lacking the main pillars of BGMI.
That's a good play coming in from Entity as well, leaving one man behind Equinox. Found that angle, found that opportunity and opening, and will now move forward to try and meet up with his teammates. But on the other side of the spectrum, though, God's Reign, they were doing a good amount of damage as well against the members of Mogo. Blows being exchanged out there on top. Team Tamilas close by them. Could potentially look for a third party too, but Orangutan right now can catch Reckoning unaware, unguarded.
The crazy part is, Reckoning Esports' players, they're quite fragile. They've taken a lot of damage from the blue. Another man gets taken down. OG, for them, it's supposed to be quite an easy cleanup, and that's what they're doing. AKOP, he will be able to get that elimination onto the last remaining player.
Oh, Viz.
And now Vizshot is up close and personal, and Hunter's got no clue that there's a man right next to him. He tossed a Molotov to deny that point, but he was a little bit too late. I'm not sure what he was trying to do there.
Big question marks coming in from the members of Reckoning this time around. Not exactly what we'd expect from the boys themselves after what happened in game number 1. Seems like this was a date with destiny. Orangutan returning back the favor of previous game, and that too flawlessly. Revenge is a dish, best served cold, but OG said we'll serve it hot. Oh, not the scooter, man. Come on.
Anything you can find at this point to try and make that rotate, considering the zone has formed on the northern side towards the Camp Alpha Island. And now this zone is going to be super interesting, considering it comes in with a lot of that surprise package. Team Tamilas, they found themselves quite a clean and neat rotation. Global Esports, even they're on the move towards the opposite side. For them, it's not going to be that big of a deal either. CG, they found themselves quite the perfect compound in the middle of nowhere. Aiku Soul with the high ground advantage, and Aiku Soul will be beating down players soon.
You mentioned about the Camp Alpha area, and whenever the circle forms onto there, that's when Aiku Soul has the best advantage, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. My question is, where are the members of Team X-Park who are also playing in that entire area itself, as right now Raven, OG, they were just fighting a few shots against each other, even Godlike. Every other team is just going to struggle so much. And again, Mr. IG's timing is insane, but
oh my god, nicely done. One man knocked out from Team X-Park for now. The second man's trying to get the revival up on the fallen player. Rotate out in the open. Shadow 7 finds himself that bit of a piece of cover. Has found himself that shack. Haiku Soul, considering they're spread out so much, Team X Park, there's nowhere to hide. Even Ronnie on the opposite side, yeah, Team X Park in a big pinch. They can't really do a lot. Raven Esports up against the gods themselves. And Fury's able to find the first knockout. Hulk missed on the opportunity. Doesn't even know exactly what was needed to be done in that instance. And Hulk completely messed up. Hulk is also getting confirmed slowly and steadily. Even AimGod falls down. And his confirmation will follow up soon. And that's what's happening. But it's Team Tamilas who's stealing away the points.
I mean, just Team Tamilas things trying to find the perfect opportunity in the meantime. Ninja, Sarang, both of them are remaining for the side of X-Park. Zome out in the open. Big problem, but the drop shot almost catching Sarang out there in the open as well.
The table could have been flipped. Sama is way too low. And Nate sails in that general direction. And Sama gets knocked out. But a return knockout on the player is also quite crucial from Haiku Soul. And the knockouts being found at the perfect time. Haiku Soul's getting their fallen players back up slowly and steadily as Manya is there up close and personal. Team X Park slowly and steadily losing out on the grip in the fight. They can't do a lot as Ninja Jot is barely surviving on a sliver of HP, but even he patches himself up. Sarang's back upon his feet, but a beautiful place nade from Manya will catch another knockout, and that's going to be the death blow handed out to Sarang.
Now Ninja, the only man surviving. Team X Park again losing their footing against Haiku Soul themselves, and they've got the entire upper ground. Circle forms out in the open itself, though. That's a big, big problem. WSB were also up against the members of OG, but this time Godlike, they're trying to pounce onto the members of Team Tamilas as Mr. IGL blows himself up.
Yeah, Team Tamilas, they're getting eaten alive inside of the compound. Manty's the only man standing with the S12K in the hand, but even for him, he can't do a lot. Gets overwhelmed by Godlike. Godlike with the man advantage, striking down the players to Team Tamilas. That was quite a good strike, but still Team Tamilas, they got away with 5 elimination points, and that's crucial. Add on a few more placement, that's even better.
True. And now WSB will also be taking their own exit. OG with just 1 man remaining, still trying to survive for as long as possible. This game is basically between Carnival versus Haiku Soul versus Godlike. But even Global Esports have been quite silent for a while, though, as Goblin falls out in the open.
Oh, Haiku Soul, what am I watching? These guys are quite hungry for the elimination points, considering they did not prioritize the power play. But now it's time for them to flourish. In the final few zone, Haiku Soul is dominating. But as soon as I say that, it's Carnival Gaming to shut down the entirety of Haiku Soul, and all thanks to their ex-teammate S-Power.
Performing phenomenally against the members of Haiku Soul, who actually lost out on one of their members early on. Now it's going to be Godlike up against the members of God's Reign. It's gods versus gods, and only one will prevail. And for now, it is the members of God's Reign who are having the advantage. As Godlike, they would also have to confirm this fight first, and then move forward out in the circle itself, where already the members of Global Esports are present. The only problem they've got is Carnival Gaming.
Even Punk gets confirmed. Godlike taken down to just a 2-man squad. Jonathan and Z-God, the last 2 standing pillars. And both of them will be constantly taking that damage from the blue. Team Tamilas could have had a really good game too, but unfortunately, Godlike pounced on top of them with the perfect timing. And now CG as well. They're getting picked up by Global Esports. What just happened? Where did Global Esports come from? Out of nowhere. They were so quiet throughout this entire fray, and now G comes in out of nowhere, strikes down the players of CG. And with ease, they have gotten that high ground control in their hands too. S-Power's the last standing man. Well, not anymore. Global Esports with the prime position.
And they also have quite a lot of finishes. I have no clue where they racked up all of those finishes. That's a big thing.
They probably caught all those teams on the southern side wanting to cross on over towards the opposite end. That's where they got the advantage. They stopped the southern side fully from being breached.
Probably.
Nicely done, Global Esports, with a decent amount of elimination points. For God's Reign, even this game holds a lot of value. For Global Esports, too, this is going to be that Kickstarter they need. Godlike's Z-God is still going for that patch-up. So yeah, he's just fighting for the second position at this point.
He can actually ruin the game for God's Reign. He's got an angle on Phantom, if I'm not wrong. He can find an opportunity. He can find an opening, though. Patched
Too late.
himself up, but it's too late too. Is he inside the circle? Absolutely not. Gets confirmed by the blue itself, and now it's a stalemate. Global Esports up against God's Reign.
Yeah, the game of snakes. That's what Sanok is known for.
Oh my god.
When you can see the players of God's Reign just out in the open, thrown down. While Global Esports, there's one single X Factor in the name of Beast. That's right next to Phantom right now. And Phantom's got no clue. There's the man on the sideline. Phantom's position soon going to be noticed by Beast, and Beast is just crawling through. Phantom's attention is completely grabbed by the players at the top, but Beast misses out on Phantom. But now Phantom's position is capitalized too. He peeks out, goes for that spray. Global Esports, they play this perfectly, even though things were messed up. Arslan, the last man standing, he does not have the time to patch himself up, and he's still looking to fight back as much as possible. And it won't be Arslan to put that final nail in the coffin. Global Esports, as usual, so good in these clutch scenarios. They get that chicken dinner secured. That's a decent bit of points acquired by the boys.
And Arslan right now stepping up big time for the team. It was needed, it was important, it was crucial. You could use all the synonyms that are possible. They finally managed to get a big chicken dinner for themselves. Global Esports, they needed it one. With the start that they received in the previous game, they were in a desperate need for this chicken dinner, and they got it at the perfect time.
Global Esports, they were also the champions of Season 1 BGMS, and now in Season 3, back with redemption in their mind. Let's move on to the stage for a short interview.
हमें मिलना चाहिए और बहुत ज़्यादा स्लग कंग्रेचुलेशंस चिकन डिनर जो है वो निकाला है पहले गेम में शायद शुरुआत अच्छी नहीं थी उतरते ही मर गए थे लेकिन इस दूसरे गेम में चिकन डिनर आया है पहला सवाल व्हाट चेंज्ड
तो चेंज तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं हमने माइंडसेट चेंज नहीं होने दिया सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये थी कि हमने वो नहीं सोचा कि फर्स्ट गेम हमारी 0 पॉइंट आए तो हमने वही था कि नेक्स्ट गेम कैसे भी करके हम मारेंगे और चिकन निकालेंगे ताकि दोनों गेम का इक्वल रेशियो हो जाए एंड मोमेंटम कैरी फॉरवर्ड रहना चाहिए ऐसा नहीं है कि एक गेम खराब हो गया तो हमने कि चलो भाई ख़त्म हो गया अब तो यार डिमोटिवेट हो जाता है ऐसा कुछ नहीं था काफ़ी कॉन्फिडेंट थे टीम भी काफ़ी कॉन्फिडेंट थी काफ़ी अच्छा हमने खेला कोऑर्डिनेशन से एकदम बढ़िया लगा अच्छा गेम था
दो भगवान वाली टीम्स थी गॉड लाइक भी थी और गॉड्स रेन भी थी फाइनल सर्कल कैसे अप्रोच किया
फाइनल सर्कल हमने अप्रोच काफ़ी अच्छा था मैं पीछे ही था एक्चुअली मैं मर गया था बाकी मेरे 3 टीममेट थे काफ़ी इन्होंने अच्छा कोऑर्डिनेट करके आगे लोग बढ़े लेफ्ट साइड भी टीम थी राइट में भी टीम थी बट ऊपर पता नहीं कोई तो टीम थी खतरनाक नू भी टीम थी हम लोग ऐसी चढ़ के मार दिए पता नहीं कौन सी थी तो उनको जब चढ़ के मारा तो हमको कॉन्फिडेंस आ गया था कि अब जब इनको ही चढ़ के मार दिया है तो फिर चिकन तो कहाँ ही जाएगा
भाई कंट्रोल नहीं है भाई जो भी बोल देते हैं जो दिल में आ रहा है और जो जबान पे आ रहा है उसमें कोई फिल्टर नहीं है
बिल्कुल भी नहीं है यार वैसे तो उसको पता ही होगा कौन सी टीम है हमारी दोस्ती टीम है ऐसे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है गेम के बाहर तो सब चिल सीन है
अच्छा सीधी थी बहुत बढ़िया टीम है भाई मैं तो मजाक कर रहा था
ओके एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ आपसे पूछनी थी जो 1v1 फाइट थी इसका ना हर चीज़ पे रिएक्शन आता है मैंने बोला 1v1 फाइट थी कहता भाई क्या
बहुत वो था इंटेंस एकदम ऐसा लग रहा था इनकी एचपी लिट थी एक्चुअली वो फुल एचपी था आई गेस बट इन्होंने जो मारा था
समझाओ क्या हुआ उस 1v1 फाइट में
लाइक जब 20 नॉक हुआ था उसके बाद सिचुएशन अपने हाथ में थोड़ी चली गई थी हमको लगा था कि हम थोड़ा चोक कर सकते हैं बट वो निंजन राइट वाला बंदा मार दिया था मेरे लिए वो इजी हो गया था क्योंकि वो मेरे को मार सकता था फिर लास्ट में जब 1v1 आया तो उसकी लोकेशन हमको पता थी बट मेरे पास स्टार्टिंग से हीलिंग नहीं थी मैं बैंडेज यूज़ कर रहा था जो भी एचपी थी मैंने उसको जितना डैमेज दे पाया पर लास्ट में जब मेरी एचपी एकदम लो हुई थी तब मेरे को कंफर्म था कि उसको मैं आराम से ले लूँगा
जब कोई बात करते करते ऐसे करता है ना तो ऐसा लगता है कि वो सीरियस है इतने सीरियस क्यों नो आइडिया भाई चिकन डिनर निकाला है ग्लोबल ई स्पोर्ट्स ने आज के दूसरे मैच में टीम तमिलास पहले मैच में 2 मैचेस बाकी हैं हुज गोना मेक अ कमबैक एक छोटा सा ब्रेक वापस लौटेंगे
लड़ना हमारे खून में है पिछली बार आंसू गिरे थे हथियार नहीं जी फाइटिंग
Red Bull gives you wings.
Wow. Circle to search. Only on Android.
Time to test the waters. Tell me how you wanna leave. Now you hear me roll like raw in my beastly mode. Now, wow. Wicked unleashed. That's wicked. All the cuts and the curves. So wicked. Take what you deserve. It's wicked.
TVS Raider, unleash your wicked.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen?
Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं ये सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash with charcoal and vitamin C deeply cleanses dirt and pollution for instantly bright skin. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash by Garnier Men.
Arcelor was looking quite refreshed. Seems like he had his game face on with the Garnier's Men's Face Wash. What do you think? Because that clutch was indeed quite refreshing, no?
It was indeed, because Arcelin in the previous game, he was not able to fire in a few good shots, right? We also saw in the first fight that he lost against the member of Aiku Soul. This time around, getting that perfect clutch is what his team needed. And them also getting that win is a big thing.
All I'm gonna say is that Slug called CG noobs.
Oh my
That's
God.
all I'm gonna say.
Oh
Just a
my
little bit of
God.
that salt on top of the wounds, because CG actually lost out on the fight that they were not supposed to. They were not supposed to lose that fight in the first place because CG had all the advantage. They had the high ground to play with, they had a really good cover to play with, but still CG messed up that fight. And it makes a lot of sense why Slug called them the noob word as well, because, I mean, it was not supposed to be a fight that they were supposed to lose. But you move on towards the match rankings. Global Esports with 18 total points, they have dominated the previous game.
Absolutely. Not a lot of finishes in those terms. The only 8, that's again because of the play style that all the teams apparently decided to play in, right? Just going in super slow. This was, I really thought I'm just watching a Green Forest Miramar map. That's how slow everything was. But honestly, there's one thing that's actually pretty fiery and fast. You know the outfit that I'm wearing right now? Oh, I know, right? It's from Instinct First. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to have an opportunity to grab some fun goodies as well, then make sure you check out Instinct First and also the offer that's on your screen right now. You can go and grab some amazing merch as well, because Instinct First is our fashion partner.
Ooh, official fashion partner. I'm not gonna lie, even this cloth feels pretty nice. I'm of course gonna try to get my hands on these t-shirts. But yeah, moving forward with the conversation, right? CG unfortunately getting strike down by Global Esports, and right then and there, the ball was in the court of Global Esports. Even Global Esports almost messed up that final fight. You cannot forget what Beast did there. The man was prone, but then he just stands up because he spotted a few players in the front lines, but he completely forgot to check his sidelines himself. And then Beast got struck down by the man who was hiding in the grasses. He instantly struck down Beast, and then right there it felt like Global Esports was now way too vulnerable.
Absolutely. It was Phantom who was already lying there. Just a little bit of impatience, and that's probably what resulted in that close contact. But I really want to see what's going to happen in the next one.
But you cannot really forget, even Aiku Soul was doing quite nice, right? There's so much more to talk about, but let's move on to a short break.